This is the garden party, and we want a garden party with you. We'll talk about the plants we grow and some things you might not know. The garden party. Like and subscribe. All right, guys. Well, this is right after my brand new theme song. I don't know if y'all caught the new theme song for the garden party, but this is where it would kick in.
Yeah,
I came up with it in the shower, man. I come up with the dumbest songs, and I need you to start recording them. But anyway,
yeah. You won't. I win so many arguments that I think of in my head in the shower. Like,
yeah. Well, here's the thing. Nobody wants to argue with a naked guy. So, I mean, that's how you win arguments.
Exactly.
Nobody wants to fight, and nobody wants to argue with the naked guy. But anyway, let me get into the intro real quick. All right, guys. Welcome to another episode of The Garden Party. I will leave that in, by the way. And it's been an awesome week. It's been a nice week here in Texas. It is currently raining. I know that song, Raining Men, that applies to what's going on because there are man-sized raindrops coming down out of the sky. We went a whole 3 months without it raining, and now we're going to get a whole week of it. It always ends up raining its tail off on my days off where I can't get anything done. So, of course, but we got a fabulous episode coming to y'all tonight, and we'll let our guests introduce themselves. So we'll start off with Zach Wortiska, Seed Farm Table. It's your second time on the program.
Yeah. What's up, guys? Zach Wortiska, Seed Farm Table. I work for Seedway. We are vegetable seed supplier, plant supplier. I'm the California and Arizona business manager, sales manager.
Fantastico. Is it a dry time or it's always dry in California, but is it a good time in California right now?
Yeah, it's good. Weather's nice. Good time to shoot. We're farming year round, so every day we're doing something. And but yeah, it's a good time to be here right now.
Absolutely. Well, and to the right of him, I don't know how it'll look in when I do the post, but it's going next. We got he's become a weekly staple on the Garden Party. He's been here on every single episode, and we'll keep it going like that. We got with Phil's Figs from Wilmington, North Carolina.
Hey guys, yeah, it's Phil from Phil's Figs. I am a East Coast fig nursery specializing in the humid climates for figs.
Nice. Quit messing with your camera, David. Oh my God! No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm happy.
It looks great from
I'm having to create a wedge right now, so you know.
Okay. I'll give
a fig.
Well, blue collar ingenuity, you know.
Are you using a fig as a tripod right now?
Yes.
Apologies in advance. This will be a very fig-heavy episode. So if you like figs, this is your episode right here. Oh, we got BMO hopping in there.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
We're gonna have
there you go, David. Hey, go ahead and instead of cutting your finger off, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. I'm David Burke. I'm the fig hunter, Northern California or California in general, and gardener of everything, I guess. So,
and you're a figaholic.
I'm worse than a figaholic. I can't pass them. There's no
fig
help.
Hoarder.
Well, yeah, that's true. So, on the way here, I actually found a new wild fig, and I had to bring it. So I got some cuttings here to share with anybody that's interested. This is 2097. So yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah, I actually did a podcast with David and his wife last week. I'm still in the process of editing. It's going to be raining all weekend, so I'll have plenty of time to get that one out. But you actually told me, how many fig trees do you have at your house currently, you think?
Oh, about 3,500 in different stages.
Oh my
Dang.
God. He told me 35.
I'm a micro fig nursery.
Yeah, me too. Oh, if you're a micro, then I'm a macro fig nursery.
A nano nursery.
A nano nursery. Absolutely.
I'm addicted. I am, an addict. I'm an addict, like I said, of growing things, of eating things, and just. Definitely.
I love it, man. That's I love it.
That's the life.
Well,
yeah, and
we're in fig abundance.
Yes, abundant figs. All right, we lost BMO and we lost Jorge. Bad internet connection, but we are back. And so right now we've got Zach Wortiska, Phil's Figs, and is it Phil's? Oh, it's Phil. For some reason I thought it said Phil Figs, not Phil's Figs. And we got the fig hunter, David Burke, and he has actually got some brand new fig cuttings behind him. What do you have any idea like what you're going to call that one yet?
Right now it's got a number. It's TFH 2097. So
Wow, that's insane.
so
And
that's
y'all were talking about the weather earlier whenever I was trying to fix the internet. I noticed that Phil's figs, were defoliating and everything. It's because it's getting colder. Mine here in Texas don't really die back unless like lose all their leaves, unless there's like a freeze. They don't really die back that like that. Does it happen in California where y'all have a big leaf drop?
yeah, certain varieties seem to be a little bit more cold tolerant, so you'll keep your leaves, and others are already defoliating. So that's kind of what one of the interesting things is figuring out what might be cold hardy.
Yeah,
As we talked about last week, frontline for new varieties, we're out there figuring it out. So
yeah. Well, you have to assume all of yours are cold hardy to a certain extent, because if not, they wouldn't have come back. For the most part. So that's pretty good. Yours are almost like native figs to a certain extent.
yes.
Yep. Yeah, and Zach was actually talking to us last week because he said he wants to get a fig tree for his yard, and he's in Bakersfield and you're in Sacramento. What variety would you suggest that does well would do well in his area?
Well, that's what we're just talking about. I'm actually working down in Bakersfield. The photos I sent you, we're working on the high-speed rail, or close enough. With that right there, you have a kind of a sandy soil, it seems like. And
Yep.
most figs will do well. I can say that. Most figs.
Yeah.
We can bring you down something.
All right. Perfect.
There you go. Yeah, and would you say do you have some common varieties, or most of your figs have to be pollinated?
Oh, a lot of them are common.
Yeah.
It's definitely a myth that they have to be all hand pollinated, and we're finding more and more with a misconception. There's a lot of bad information out there about figs. There's a lot of bad information on the internet about anything gardening, and that's why we watch, experts like yourself. So we don't have to kill everything. We're going to let you kill everything, and then we'll learn from your mistakes.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I speaking of like gardening methods, I don't know if y'all get these comments in y'all's videos and pictures on Instagram and stuff, but I keep getting those comments about something called electroculture. Have y'all heard of electroculture before?
No.
Yeah, so it's interesting. It's an interesting method. Apparently, it goes back to like the 1700s. And what they would do is they would take these like wooden dowel rods.
Oh.
And they run the copper wire around the rods and they stick them into the ground around like your garden or whatever. And it's supposed to absorb positive energy and put it into the soil and get better results. Yeah, I get about at least one comment a week asking if I know anything about electroculture, and I typically say no. I have no idea. I've seen a bunch of like Epic Gardening. Kevin, he did a video on it debunking it, and I actually posted a meme. I've really gotten into memes lately. I posted a meme. I said. You can look on my Instagram. I'll put a picture over here. It said I did it on Canva, and I said if electroculture worked, then every cornfield in Nebraska would look like this. And it has these giant copper rods sticking out of the cornfields, so, usually if there's any like real scientific, probability of it helping, it's been adopted by big scale farm as well, you would think, for the most part. So I don't know. Are there any myths or any like methods that y'all have seen or like heard to use and it doesn't really work out? Because y'all are all college educated people, and so y'all may know more about this than me.
Tomato tower, or not tomato towers, potato towers. I saw all this information about growing potatoes in field fence or in towers, and we tried it one year, and it was not
No,
working.
I've
better?
done the
I'm back.
yeah. So I've done the potato tower, like the hilling, like in like you plant them low and you've done some hilling. What I found is a lot of times with sweet potatoes and regular potatoes, overwatering is an issue. That if you water them too much, those little spuds, the seed potatoes, turn to mush, and you end up not getting anything out of it. But the hilling process itself is pretty. I mean, that's pretty proven, though. I would think I'd give that another try.
No, this isn't a hilling. Hilling definitely easy way to
Right.
do things is the hill. But this was a tower. I'd seen someplace. We were experimenting a lot with vertical growing, everything we could in our garden, growing vertical, and where you get a field fence and you make a round cage, say 2.5 feet, 30-inch diameter, and then you put in layers of compost straw, walk it through potatoes, another layer, and it just didn't work for me.
Oh, so you do like a layer of potatoes?
Yeah, it just didn't work. It wasn't successful. I went back to the old method, and that was just simple.
I wouldn't think you'd want them growing on top of each other like that. That probably wouldn't be good. No. Yeah. Good, Phil.
Oh, can you hear me now? I think here's the thing: when you have these ideas that are brought up from the 1700s, and coming from a scientific standpoint, like the scientific method is kind of what is organically happening. I would say even in the fig world, where you have these large debates that all kind of push these like hypotheses, and then they get proven correct or incorrect, and then you have another person kind of prove that hypothesis as well, and you kind of aggregate it until there's like a common acceptance of how something works. And I think with this explosion of the internet, people are like, I heard this thing and it worked for me this way, and this is how they edited it and presented it, right? And then also the other half of that, like if everybody had the same terroir that Dave had and did the same exact method that he does with the same exact figs, you might get the same result, correct? You might get some variance, but then you have different growing conditions all over. Like I've heard in like Sonoma, you could have 3 different terroirs and the same grape could taste vastly different amongst those 3 different landscapes. And so it's kind of finding the methods that work best for your system and your location, and working with the elements around you to see if a method actually works. The copper one's a little far stretched, though, for sure.
I was thinking about when we were kids. I don't know if y'all did this. If you guys fish at all, we'd take battery cables and hook it up to a rod that went in the ground, and that's how we collect our worms. So I thought that's where you were going with it.
I mean, I'm sure there's some sort of electromagnetic conducting going on, because we are all living things are very well charged, right? And ionized. So I'm sure there's something there.
Putting that juice to the ground would just drive your worms up. But I didn't see any better growth near the plants after doing that. I mean,
have y'all seen the worm shaker sticks, the rattle sticks? I know. Have y'all seen the TikTok videos? So they take like a little dowel. They take like a wooden dowel rod and they do like a jigsaw pattern on the dowel, and then they'll get another stick and they'll jab it into the ground and they'll go like this and they'll just go like that with it on there, and worms start coming out of the ground. And I tried it and it does not work in my house. But like you were saying, the scientific method is, for it to be scientifically proven, it has to be repeatable and not just in certain scenarios, not just in one case. There has to be like double blind placebo studies for all kinds. Like it's not just if it works for you, that's fact now. There's a million factors that could play a part.
Yeah, you got to think of like the soil conditions, quantity of earthworms, like the vermiculture. Like who knows what their setup was like compared to like what kind of soil you had and the quantity of earthworms, right?
Right. And I would never want to tell people like how to grow garden or how to do their things. If you think that would work, do it. You're more than welcome to do your thing. I have not seen any evidence to show the electroculture to work. BMO, I know BMO's probably got an opinion on this, because I know he probably sees the videos on TikTok and stuff about the electroculture. Have you wanted to try that yet, BMO?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
you hear me okay? Okay. I just tried some new earphones.
You are
like, I
echo
don't know if
free,
these
man.
work.
You're good to go.
You're good, brother. You're good.
Yeah, I actually have experimented and tried it. Like you said,
oh no.
Can you hear me? Is it
That
bad?
says it all right there.
I went out.
You broke up.
Oh, okay. What about now?
Yeah, you're good.
Now it works.
Still no.
As soon as you said your secret, it cut out. Your results and discussion section of that.
The CIA.
I said, well, let me not do too much movement because I'm not trusting these headphones. But I have tried it out. But I will say I don't have enough evidence to say that it's real or that it's good. Right? It might work for me, but it could be, just like you said, it could be it's not scientific proven if it doesn't work for all conditions, places and stuff like that. I have tried it in 2 different places of my garden, on the north side and on the west side. The north side, nah, nothing worked. You know what I mean? I've tried it in buckets, not buckets, but you know what I mean, in different containers, right? I've tried it in a metal raised bed. I've tried it in a wood bed. I don't really see anything like, how these TikToks are like, it's going to explode. It's just going to be fruitful and you don't have to water as much. Malarkey. It's still a plant. Yeah. It still requires water. It still requires sun. You know what I mean? Is it for sure pulling anything from the atmosphere? I don't know yet. So, I did try it.
Go ahead, Phil.
Okay, and I think it's not to say people like this is the best part about having so many internet gardeners is like it's so great to try these things, but we just don't want to come out and say this is the solution to everything. I know it might be a YouTube hook or something, but with a take, I mean, if we can all say this worked for me, give it a try. What do we all think, right? And that's the crowdsourcing. That is the essence of science too, is taking all your variables and putting them into execution and seeing how it comes out. And so it's like perfect for me to hear from BMO being like, I tried it on the north side, I tried it on the west side. Like your positioning doesn't, within your polar regions doesn't change anything, right? So that's my little science brain working, but
what I would be impressed, D, if someone came out that said this drought that we had in like August, June, July, and they were like, yeah, I was still producing, high yields. Okay, then I can't, because we weren't getting any water. You know what I mean?
Well, so somebody had told me, somebody commented and said, during that Texas drought, I got more lemons than I've ever gotten before. And I was like, well, did you have a lemon next to another? Did you have that lemon next to another lemon? And they were both the same size, the same age. One had a rod in it and one didn't, because it's hard to, it's hard to compare, but people, I trust that you had good success. And if that works for you, that's great.
But don't make a flatline claim that this is how you have to do things exactly, because you don't know the backgrounds of anyone's setup.
Yeah, for sure. Now, Zach, do you have any myths in the farming industry out there in California that guys do like on the fields or something?
I don't know. I was trying to think of stuff.
I've seen I saw a video of them and they were in Mexico and they were planting agave for the tequila, and they made a little shrine in the field, and they blessed like a bottle of tequila into the ground with the first agave, and they were blowing smoke and sage and stuff like that, and then they planted the field. And I was like, that's kind of cool.
That is cool.
I love me some tequila, so I mean, I like that. There's all kinds of crazy rituals and stuff that go along with that. Just I mean, I've done a bunch of videos where I'll take old wives' tales and try them out. But a lot of mine, I've done the coffee grounds videos. Are coffee grounds going to raise the acidity of your soil enough to really affect blueberries and make them more the soil more acidic to help those plants out? Is it going to help blueberries? Is it going to help azaleas? Probably not, because actually when you brew the coffee, most of the acidity comes out when you brew it. But is it going to hurt? Is it going to hurt to put out, coffee, tea, or whatever in your garden? No. You know, so I mean, it's a good way to keep it out of the landfill. That's always my mindset. You know, stuff like that's not hurting anything. You know, and there's a million myths out there.
Well, it's important to collaborate. That's why I don't want to say, like, I guess my point is, don't shun ideas, embrace them, but just don't take like, this is isolate, this is the exact way it has to be done. You know, there's like a million options, and it's fun to collaborate and keep introducing that over time until you do have a clear idea of something that does actually work every time, like scoring bark, or knowing that on a fig tree at the nodes that a lot of the roots can protrude from there. It's a great starting point without even having to score bark, you know.
Yeah,
things like that.
Don't you be getting into figs right off the bat.
Trying now.
Okay?
We're still talking about gardening. So I got a big question for you all. I mean, now we're coming into the fall, almost winter season. Do you guys put any cover crops down for any of your gardening? I mean, areas? So green manure kind of idea?
So that would be a good question for Zach, probably, because so in a raised bed community, you don't really do a whole lot of cover cropping because you're mostly switching it over from the spring. You're topping your stuff off, then you're adding a summer crop, topping your stuff off. And so you're constantly, when you're doing a raised bed, you're constantly losing soil and you're constantly having to top it off. So you don't really, I know some people that do, but I don't typically. But Zach, when would you typically want to use a cover crop?
Yeah, so most cover crops are planted, you know, about right now here in California, at least. So this is the first time I'm doing it in my garden as well. One, I got a couple.
It's in ground, right?
In ground, yeah. I got a couple different types that I sell. So there's a couple different ones that I want to test out. So there's just some basic, like a ryegrass and a fescue blend. There's some peas, oats, and radish blend. You know, there's some triticale, you know, vetch. There's different things that guys use and think that it brings certain benefits, and I think it does, and that's what I'm going to try and just see if it does benefit the garden for my next crop or not.
And so what does it do? So it just adds carbonaceous material to the soil, because like you would tarp over afterwards or to kill it or whatever, or do you just go through and till it up?
Yeah, till it up and put it back in. Just incorporate it back into the ground.
I got you.
Yeah,
okay.
So some guys some of it's just for soil erosion, right? Like there's big farms out here, they don't want anything messed up, so they just want to plant something on the ground. It hopefully, cross our fingers, in California, it gets rained on and it germinates and it grows. And last year it did really well for a lot of guys that planted cover crop, and this year, you know, a lot of the same guys are hoping for the same. But yeah, there's a lot of benefits to protect that soil, to bring nutrients back into that soil, just for overall soil health. So, yeah.
And there are edible cover crops like your stone peas, the radish greens, the stuff like that. You can actually eat a lot of your cover crop.
Yep.
Like a microgreen almost, and you can cut them short and do it like that.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm doing mine all. I'm not watering mine. I'm going to try to do mine as natural as possible. I'm going to try to let the rainwater do it and see if it comes up, because that's, you know, again, that's what, you know, guys do around here. And so I want to test it out.
Absolutely.
Justin, you said that you don't typically do it in your raised beds. Actually, out at our place, we don't typically do a winter crop in our raised beds.
Okay.
So it was something that I would do just to kind of for the erosion aspect. And we were using a no-till method. I mean, of course, raised bed, it's pretty easy. But then in the spring, just cut it. And it was vetch with some form of peas. And I believe you said it was oat grass. I think it's a method. It's called green manure. It's expensive. I know that. At least it seemed to do a little bit, you know, at least protect that. So we didn't lose as much, I guess. Didn't wash out in the winter.
Yeah.
Or we probably had a cover crop. But hey, try anything, right? At least once or twice.
Well, here in the Houston area, the wintertime is almost like the only time we can actually grow like stuff like broccoli and kale and stuff like that. They won't go straight to seed. So, I mean, like BMO, you got like kohlrabi and stuff growing in yours right now?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Kohlrabi, yeah. So I got them all going. I got trying to do this season I want to grow Napa cabbage, because I want to do kimchi. So
you hook up with
yeah,
Zach.
yeah. So
kimchi.
nice.
Zero.
Yeah. I'll need that recipe, brother. So yeah, I'm growing all kind of.
I thought you said
rotation.
kale.
Yeah, I love me some
I got
kale.
Dude. Yeah. I got
a kale plant right here.
Nice.
Is that
So I got curly
Siberian?
kale.
Lacinato right there. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes, this is about
nice.
32 days in the greenhouse. So, a lot of the farmers out here will transplant their stuff at certain times of the year. So different crops take different times of the greenhouse. But yeah, so we're getting plants in right now and getting ready to, transplant that in the ground.
That's
Nice.
I never had good success like getting seeds. Are there any tips? I mean, BMO got his seeds to germinate from like his cabbage and stuff. Are there any like good tips, or is there like a wrong time of year to get your like cabbage and stuff like to germinate? Because like sometimes it feels like it'll grow and then it dies back like pretty quick. Is it just the heat or what? That's for Zach.
Oh, gotcha. I think you're talking to BMO.
I'm like listening
I
to
don't know.
It's like,
I don't
Yeah, I'm like, I just throw it down,
the
man.
secret.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the deal is, I mean, they're pretty much growing year round here, and it's all greenhouse, protected culture. So it's the climate's, it's all, controlled and everything. And so, there are definitely times that are better for direct seeding versus, non-direct seeding. If it's really hot or if it's really cold, that seed vigor is going to be lower. So it's, it's not going to allow that plant just to move as quick if it's super hot or if it's super cold. So those are times when maybe transplanting is a better option. Otherwise, you're going to have to seed at a higher population to make sure that you're getting your correct, population that you're shooting for.
Okay.
You may not get as good an efficiency out of your seeds if you do direct in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Hey, Zach, do you guys use any fertilizer when you're doing the seedlings? I know we've tried like Super Thrive, but on a commercial aspect, what do you guys use? What's your secret?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not a greenhouse guy. We do a lot of work with them. And some of that stuff is very secretive. Each greenhouse has their own secret recipe and they'll share some of it, but they protect a lot of it too. But yeah, there's definitely, both conventional and organic fertilizers that are used for both those programs.
Yeah. And what is the version, like, what is the best method you like? Because I know you do a lot of videos where you're out in the research fields using the seed Jenny versus the transplant. For stuff like kale and, all the brassicas, is it better to direct seed or is it just the time of year?
It's just the time of the year, it's the ground availability. For sure, it doesn't matter what crop it is. You're always going to get a stronger root system if you direct seed versus transplant. And that's something I've seen forever. It's just, starting that stuff from seed in the ground, it's just get more established. Those roots are in the ground. With transplant, there's more stress. There's different variables in that. So, but yeah, it just depends on throughout the year what's going on. And, again, it's water availability, it's ground rotation. Can you be in there an extra 35 days, versus transplanting, more fertilizers. There's so many different variables.
Yeah. I guess the transplanting allows for a quicker succession crop to get, to get that seedling in. Well, and there's some varieties, like some seeds I'm not going to transplant ever again. I'll probably direct seed. So from now on, I will direct seed cucumbers. I'm not going to do cucumbers, squash and zucchini, and okra, because they just have such better root systems when you direct seed them. The squash, it seems like when I do squash transplants, it's about a 50%, 30 to 50% dropout. But when I direct seed them, I just have such a better success rate when I just direct seed them, because the squash are so delicate. The actual system is so delicate, and if you bend it a wrong way when you're pulling it out of the cell, it's just a waste of time.
That's what she said.
Yeah. The other thing that just popped in my mind too for transplants is that it helps for weeds, right? If you're direct seeding and you're putting water on, you're going to bring up a lot of weeds on a commercial side. So
Gotcha.
the transplants allows you to have, you're putting less water on early on to fight those weeds.
Yeah. Somebody had told me the other day that they had started carrot seeds in a seed starting tray. And I'd never heard of anybody ever doing that. Have you heard of anybody starting seeds, the carrot seed starts and then transplanting them?
No, not really. More for
so.
seed production, but not for commercial, for fresh eating, but for seed production.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so will they do a whole another section of like carrots, like where they kind of restrict the root growth and allow them just to flower and bloom to get the seeds?
Oh yeah, it's a whole nother side of the that business where not going into too much detail, but using the different males and females and producing those parental lines, and letting those things grow and fertilize and then flower, and then usually that stuff is grown down in Imperial Valley, and then they take it up to Pacific Northwest where they get the longer days and allow that stuff those flowers to to bolt and produces the seed up there. So a lot of seed production is done in the Pacific Northwest because of the longer days, which allows those plants, force them into flowering for reproduction.
Well, and that's a good tip for everybody if you have plants. So like if I were to plant Brussels sprouts right now, it would be like March, April before I'd be getting any Brussels sprouts, and then by then I'm like getting up 70, 80 degrees.
Yep.
I've actually never seen a Brussels sprout bolt. I know BMO probably has, but leave some of those plants in there and harvest them seeds. Harvest some of those good seeds. Especially like dill. I don't ever have to buy dill seeds ever again. And that's another one I'll never transplant again. I found the perfect method for growing dill, which sucked this year because I had no cucumbers besides the Armenian cucumbers. And come to find out, Armenian cucumbers aren't even cucumbers, which blew my mind. It's a musk melon. But what I do with my cucumbers, or not my dill, because it gets so hot, I plant all my dill in 3-gallon pots, and then I can set them out in full sun. They don't have super deep root systems. And then every 2 weeks, I'll plant another 3-gallon pot. And so I just have a succession plant. I just do that every 2 weeks. I plant more dill. And then as the dill goes through its cycle, it reseeds itself. And so I always have a steady supply of dill no matter what.
Yeah. You're killing me. You're talking about Brussels sprouts, and you're talking about dill. I know. I was sitting there going, I just messed with a cheesy Brussels sprout recipe, and it was to die for. I could send you some. And then dill pickles. I must be hungry. That's why I love talking to you and watching your, talk about food here. What are we going to do with this? Dill.
I've never done cheese
with the Parmesan cheese
before. That sounds amazing.
Oh, it was awesome. And the kids, because with the little ones, Parmesan, and then oh my goodness,
nice.
I can't remember, Priscilla, some other type of cheese. She gave me some stuff, and it was pretty good.
Yeah, you almost have to like roast Brussels sprouts. I usually steam them. I usually steam them in the bag, throw them in a pan with some bacon grease,
some back fat or something.
Yeah, I'll do them with some bacon grease and kind of blacken the edges a little bit. Throw in some of that good Cajun seasoning, or in the oven on the broiler and let them get a little crispy.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
it's so good, man.
Some candy pecans or something in there, a little. Also on vinaigrette for the type. But these cheesy ones, the kids, I barely got any. I think I got 2 or 3 of them. They killed the whole platter.
Yeah.
I got to the table.
Well, I can imagine that if you have like nice Parmesan or like Pecorino, that hard salty cheese with those umami flavors in it, and you put that on top. Oh my gosh!
Oh, it's an easy recipe too.
Zach, do you have the T-shirts made yet? Kale is or Brussels sprouts are the new kale. I was like, I know.
That's a good idea. I need to make those.
After last week, I figured you went in Friday morning. Listen, guys, I got a new marketing idea for Brussels sprouts.
I'm one of your first customers.
Yeah, I need the idea. We're working on it.
Oh my goodness! I love Brussels sprouts. Yeah, I could probably eat Brussels sprouts every single night. They're my favorite, but I'll never grow them again. They just take too long. Unless I got a whole
I got about,
like 100-foot
I think I got
row of
about
them,
10 in my garden.
just 1 or 2 plants is not worth it to me.
A long
Yeah.
crop, like artichokes too.
See, that might be
Come on
okay.
down, brother.
You'll put,
We gotta come visit you. You gotta convince a friend to grow them. That's it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole idea behind like the communal gardening living. You get like a whole neighborhood of friends, and then one person grows the pumpkins and watermelons. One person grows like the Brussels sprouts. Every backyard grows something different. Someone's got chickens, and then y'all just trade around. And then
I love that idea. I think that's
you'll
awesome.
rotate every year.
Rotate.
Everybody rotates every year.
I saw some videos. I was on Instagram maybe or TikTok, but people were taking out their front yards, and planting gardens in their front yards, and it's kind of a cool idea. Is use the space that you got, and
absolutely
produce the food.
Yeah, no,
I'm an
HOA.
Like that. Yeah, me too. But it's like,
yeah. I'm already getting away with so much. I was putting some posts in my greenhouse, like 8-foot posts, 4x6s, and I was looking out towards the street, and I was like, well, they can see the top of my greenhouse. Like, can they see these posts? Because that's like the argument. It's not a permanent structure, but it kind of is. So I don't know. I'm pushing the limits of it right now.
Are you an HOA?
Oh yeah.
In Texas? They got those in Texas. I thought that was
Houston,
in California.
Man. Houston. If you're like in the suburbs of Houston, Austin, Dallas, it's basically a little mini California, like way it is like HOAs. Like it's pretty like, and mine is like super pricey too. We got a gate guard, which it doesn't matter because BMO's seen it. My side gate's always open. You can just drive right on in. It's ridiculous.
But what you have is so inspiring, probably for anyone who has an HOA, that like what you're capable of actually growing and how much you can grow. Like it's pretty amazing to watch your videos within the boundaries you claim to have, but you do so much.
Well, that was the idea when I first started doing videos. So when I first started doing videos, I was working at a job where I was working 7 days on and 7 days off. So I was only working 26 weeks out of the year. And I was watching a lot of like YouTubers, like these homesteaders. And I was like, man, I'm already doing all this stuff. I like cameras and stuff. I was like, why don't I start videoing myself? So my first channel name was called the HOA Homestead.
Oh,
that was actually my first channel. That's awesome. It was going to be like, hey, you can have like a homestead in your HOA. So I mean, that was the original idea, And then I'd film all day. You spend 12 hours a day filming. You'd edit all night, and then your video would get like 20 views. And it was like, well, let's try this TikTok thing out, see how it goes. It's like 1/50th of the time and effort, and it's so much more fulfilling. Just it's crazy, man.
You get the exposure.
Nuts. For sure, dude. Well, I made Phil and David wait long enough to talk about figs, so we'll go ahead and talk about it for a little bit. So like I was saying earlier, mine don't really drop leaves. They'll do it like in the middle of summer. They'll drop like a lot of them will drop all their leaves. People always get freaked out when their trees start losing leaves. And
I'm having clients call me, and they're new to figs, and I think that's a beautiful thing to encourage. Fig people, everyone have a fig, even if it's on your patio that you have at your condoplex. But they're like, oh, it's turning yellow and brown, and they're falling off. I'm like, it's okay. It's supposed to do that. They do go dormant. They're deciduous, and I kind of just like pushing it because in the Northeast you get these like beautiful yellow foliage that they all turn yellow and they fall off nicely before your Italian grandfather goes outside and wraps them up in the Northeast. But if you're down here in Wilmington, we kind of get like a mix of just brown. It'll try to push through. Like I have a Ponte Tresa out on my patio that's still going fine against my south wall because it's the microclimate. But a lot of my trees have just kind of lost their leaves, but they're still pushing out fruit on warm days. I'm still getting some ripe figs, but coming next week, it might be the end for me, at least here in November.
What temperature do you have right now?
Today we got up to 79 degrees, and I think tomorrow's 70.
So yeah, you should still be doing fine.
Yeah. Next week we're going to drop down to the 40s and 50s. We had a cold spell that dropped in some places. I'm along the coast, so I kind of get that maritime warmth that stays like high 30s, but it'll freeze. But at this time of year, but inland they got down to 30, and a lot of people lost their figs and trees and such. But we're holding out. A little bit left. I got some coldidoms that are still pushing out too.
Yeah.
We're not seeing a lot of ripening right now. It's down in the 30s. We've actually one of our good friends that owns Maywood Farms. He actually had frost in October, so it's been a really strange year for us here in California. Yeah. But we were seeing.
What does that do for your fig wasp what's their tolerance for cold?
Oh, that's a great. I mean, jump into that different subject. I've seen them up as high as 3,500 where it snows and it freezes.
Okay.
So that's what we started to saying. There's so much misinformation out there about gardening, and figs is one of them. We were talking, Destin, about how people say, "Oh, there's a fig, there's a wasp in your figs," in Texas, and it's like, and then people think there's a wasp, a meat bee, and I'm going, no, it's the size of a gnat. It's this teeny itsy bitsy thing.
Oh yeah,
and it's dissolved, and it's not. It's definitely they're definitely cold tolerant. The fact of the matter is, I mean, to speculate with this, we're talking about figs, wasp, and why does California, as the last podcast that we had, Priscilla, my wife, explained why there's this magic little thing in California, the fig wasp, but there's no place for it to go outside the hills, outside the mountains. There's no capra figs. So if you expanded the capra figs, you'd have more places for fig wasps. It's already been proven. I've got a good friend in Louisiana that started a colony, and
I literally was about to ask. I was like, because I have like this mad scientist in my head of like people have ant farms. I'm gonna have a capra fig wasp farm.
They used to have them in South Texas. They used to have them in South Texas. They used to keep figs, and they would have like the bag with the male. They'd release them into the orchard. Yeah. So they will survive outside other places, I guess, but you'll probably have to keep replenishing that population, I'm sure, until they get established.
Yes, and you're going to establish it. The problem about that is, like anything else, when you import something, you don't know what you're going to import.
Right.
And fig wasps, there's only one season, which is actually right now, that you could legally send them,
okay.
via California law. Yeah, kind of keeps you out of trouble. But
I respect that.
It's some good stuff with these figs. I mean, we're trying a pickled recipe. Priscilla, I know is. I mean, as long as we talked last week about the trick. I mean, putting a little olive oil or something with a little lavender to keep any bugs out, the ripening, and it's a great time of year. I know, Phil, you've got a greenhouse set up, a nice greenhouse. I see it, and
it's full already, I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
it's getting there. But I couldn't help myself.
It's never big enough.
Oh no, it's I think I don't know. I haven't really shown what we've been doing with the high tunnels, but yeah, it's never big enough. You're always wanting more, and I haven't finished building them yet. So it's.
So she said.
You say you can't touch the bottom of a tuna can, but fall out the sides.
Oh my goodness! So you were saying you have tried the olive oil method? It's worked.
Oh yeah.
I guess to explain the olive oil method, Phil, it's supposed to create methane, right? If you put olive oil over the hole, if you have a fig with a hole, some of them don't. But if you put like a Q-tip, a little bit of olive oil on top,
the bottom, nostril.
It's supposed to.
Okay, where we're at? There you go.
Because when the fruit ripens, it creates methane, and if you can trap the methane inside the fruit, it'll ripen it faster. Is that what it is, David?
You broke that.
Yeah.
So and the size too. It's all about size.
So what is it? What happens when you track the methane on the fig?
Well, just think like any fruit. Okay, we'll jump back. That once you pick a fruit, a fig, a fig, it doesn't start to ripen anymore. I mean, it really doesn't. It doesn't ripen. But a banana's off-gassing.
Yes.
As it starts to get the brown spots. So the fig, because it's an inverted flower, it's off-gassing, and the gas is being released from the bottom, the ostial. And by covering that, when it's a certain size, like I'd say this size right here, I mean, well, I don't know if I guess grams. This is like a 40 gram
grams.
fig.
40 gram. Okay.
Full. It would continue to ripen. For something smaller here, this probably won't, So
Yeah.
this one's a little tinier.
Fascinating.
But there's good things to do with them. I mean, you can. I'm curious. So we're talking about cutting them up, dehydrating them, barbecuing, adding them kind of like a green onion to something. I mean, we'll have latex in them, but once you, add them.
That's what I was going to ask about the latex. If you were to pickle them, they're still going to have that latex inside.
Oh,
yeah. Would it release it into the brine and make it inedible, or would you be able to do something with like how plantains are almost?
I'd put it in water first, and let it kind of wash out. I mean, I guess that isn't latexy. I got all the sticky stuff already on me, I guess,
Again, that's what she said.
Hey. so I get bad with that.
We're going to change this to that's what she said.
I was going to say, yeah.
You're so mature.
Sorry.
And
I'm sorry.
I know. We're just high dollar blue collar. That's what I call him. High dollar blue collar right there, electricians.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, well, and going back to that electrocuture thing, that's what I was telling people. I think it's a marketing thing because I know much copper is really expensive, and so I think it's a bunch of people trying to sell those copper rods. Trying to sell something and not work really. I don't know. Sorry, I thought about that earlier and I freaking forgot to say it, so I wanted to get that out. Stupid rods.
We could do an experiment here. We go get one of them grounding rods from electric fence. They're 8 foot long.
We should steal them.
It's hard to pull out the ground. And then I get the welding leads. We'll just hook up a ground positive, and I'm either going to shock myself, going to see a bunch of earthworms come up, or it's going to have humongous figs. We're going for the big figs.
Big figs, right? I mean, you might get a lot of growth too, so.
I don't know. I think I'm going to hurt myself, but hell, what the hell, For the sake of experiments and science, we've got to figure this out.
I'm gonna have to try that next spring. Put one copper rod and one, get like a black mission fig. Have 2 pots with 2 black missions in them.
Yep,
and one with like right next to each other. One with a copper rod and one without, and just see how they do. I'll have to try it out just for video, for content's sake. I got to do it like that.
You do something with that is going to produce a lot to begin with.
The black missions have been producing like crazy. Oh yeah, even in my garden beds and stuff like that. I was going to ask you. So I'm a stripper when it comes to propagating. I like to strip back all the way around when I propagate on my cuttings. Phil does a slit. You do a little slit, right, Phil?
I just I score in multiple spots, and then I'll do a slit on one side just for exposure.
What is your preferred method, David?
Oh, pretty easy. Here we go. That's
what she said as well.
I'm lazy.
That's it.
Just stick it in. Might spit on it a couple times, No.
So you use hormone though, don't you?
I do use hormone. I use dip and grow. So I might mess around, and what he's talking about, Phil, was get over here. Knife. It's a little more than
scoring the bar.
So you just take the hormones are in the node. So if you go through half the node, you let that callus, you have a higher expectancy to have roots right there. But I've seen sections of cuttings with done an experiment where it had no nodes. We cut them off, we grafted them, and then I stuck them in dirt and just to see if they'd root. And they rooted. They never grew any top growth, but they rooted.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, for the theory of that, once it's rooted, could that definitely be grafted to? Yes, it could be grafted to because it has roots.
Right.
So.
Yeah,
And you can always test if the wood is alive too by checking on top of that and seeing squirt it back and be like, hey, look, this wood is ready to go for rootstock, I guess.
We're talking about the heat and the cold and stuff. We left out some starts last year, even with the snow that came through California. And at one point in time last February, came home and we never have snow. I mean, I'm definitely freaking out. Almost as bad as you would be if you snowed down in Texas. I was like, what the heck?
It's not fun.
Yeah. And they still grew. Yeah. So figs are really hardy in general. I mean,
well, I got to where after that last freeze, every variety I had that didn't survive the freeze, I didn't regrow. I left them because any variety that I have and I want to sell to anybody in my area, I want to say, hey, this survived the coldest I've seen it, you know. And so I don't want anybody to have to worry about bringing them in, you know. And I even I have all mine in containers, so that's an extra added element of protection that they need for that as well.
Here's a question for Zach. I got a question because this has to do with figs. At a certain point in time, do the genetics that you're propagating by seeds, do they diminish that genetic line? Do you think it needs to be a?
That's a great question.
I think so, but there for example, there are carrot varieties that have been grown for 20 years, 15, 20 years, and it's the same genetics selected every year. But I do think that over time, just because of anything can happen during production, maybe you forget to rogue something out correctly, right? Or there's some parent that's got some little off type that you don't catch or something. So I think over time, those genetics can start shifting from what they were originally. Yeah.
Kind of like the great generation, our grandparents, compared to this new generation.
Yeah, how it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The genes are a little diminished.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I don't know about them skinny jeans. We had a guy show up on a job site wearing skinny jeans. I said, hey, those were Levi's back in the day.
It was just weird.
Oh my goodness.
Well, did he look okay in them, or was this like
I don't know?
He needed to check himself.
I was gonna
weird.
I was on a job site and I had some pretty stylish jeans on once that I got away with, but I think I wore them with confidence.
Well, Wranglers were stylish too, but
Yeah, I didn't realize Phil's got a second page where he does his surfing videos and pictures and stuff like that. I was like,
barely.
I was like, Phil looks like Kelly Slater. He looks like a freaking like a professional surfer.
I compete on an amateur circuit for longboarding.
Okay,
so
awesome.
If you ever see me hanging 10, hanging 5, that's me.
Awesome.
I have to start doing more podcasts with people who are worse looking than me. I keep doing videos with guys that are very good. I actually, Michael last week.
Oh, Michael's so funny.
He goes, I can't believe you put me next to Zach. And I had sent a text to Zach. I was like, hey man, not a sext, a text. I said, hey, I need a picture for the thumbnail. I was like, send me a beefy pic. And he sends me this small pic. And I was like, damn, dude. I was like, I'll put you right next to Michael.
He was wearing a GNC t-shirt on it too. No,
he's Ag Gear's top model for sure. He's in every single
Ag Gear.
Oh my goodness,
it's a good sell for gardening because I don't even.
You gotta start out the Texas garden guy or the gang calendar.
Hilarious.
Oh my goodness, I have thought about that actually.
I have
thought about that.
You know what you could do? You could let AI build that for you and see what happens.
Dude, I'm telling you.
Just surround me with figs,
What charity? Have to go to the Destin's next greenhouse fund. Because I was looking and seeing. So the whole reason I got my greenhouse in the first place is so that I could not have to put stuff in my garage. And it seems like
you got a garage.
Oh, I gotta insulate the garage.
I gotta jump off real quick, fellas.
There's no car in there. It's all seed starts.
All right, I see. I'm gonna leave it open, D. I need to see y'all, man.
I'm jealous.
All right,
Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead.
Nice meeting you, B.
All right, buddy. Take it easy, brother.
Yeah.
Later, everyone.
But no, I do have a garage, but it used to be full of plants every winter, and now it's just and the plan was for the greenhouse. I don't have to put anything in the garage anymore. But it doesn't matter how big a greenhouse you buy, man. You will always find a way to fill it up. You know, it's.
So what about digging a hole and like underground, going underground? There's a place down in Fresno. I passed a sign. There's actually like an orchard, an underground orchard. I want to go explore it. That sounds so
I saw
cool.
a crazy video of a guy. I don't know where he was in the Midwest, but he did that and he countersunk the whole greenhouse, and so all you saw outside was just layers of panels.
I've seen that. Yeah.
And
it's all lemon trees. Your HOA wouldn't care. They'd never know it's there.
I'm in Houston where we tend to flood. There's a reason nobody's house has a basement. So I'm not sure that would go well. I'd be in there and it would just start to cave in on me one day. It'd be bad. I can see that going, but no, I already am not supposed to have a greenhouse in my backyard. So digging a one in the ground is probably going to be a no too. Because when I go, I can just take this greenhouse with me. If I do that, I got to backfill a hole too. You know what I mean?
I'm building a pool.
Well, it might increase your value, you know?
Yeah.
With the bomb shelter. Hey.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Now, I dream of the day. I dream of the day when I can have like a whole orchard of fruit and fruit trees, and a big garden, and everything, and chickens. I can't have chickens in my HOA. I can't even have chickens. So
how about quail?
Even if
technically I can have quail, but there's a loophole in Texas apparently, because quail are a wild game bird. They're not poultry, and so you can have quail. But I can imagine getting a letter in the mail, because they are a quieter animal, but they're not silent. They're not like completely silent. So I'm gonna get some, and I'm already not trying to attract more attention to myself.
Say some guinea hens.
No,
some guinea fowl.
Guineas are awesome, man. Guineas are
awesome.
Cool.
They're cool.
They can be vicious though. Yep. Well, cool guys. Well, I've already had y'all a little bit over an hour. Before we go, I want to say Happy Veterans Day to David. Any other veterans on the chat? Any other vets?
Yeah, Happy Veterans Day. Thanks for your service, dude.
I was trying to get more vets on, but they were bowed up. I was trying to get Farmer Froberg on, but he was bowed up. But I appreciate it.
I hear that term out here. When you go into the refineries, you're bowed up. I mean, there's a Texas term. That's a Texas term.
Yeah, it's bowed up, man.
Bowed up. What the hell? What are we doing?
It's all bowed up, man.
He's over there drinking a cup of coffee. I'm bowed up, man.
I'm bowed up, man. I got training, right? I'm all bowed up. It's funny. I don't think I have much of a Texas accent, but some people say I do. I don't know. I compared to Froberg, I don't. Froberg has got an accent. I don't. Yeah, but I guess before we go, I appreciate everybody coming on. But let's start with David. Give everybody a tip of something they can do in the garden right now, or give some a gardening tip, and then tell everybody where they can find you.
Well, you can consider adding mulch to your winter crops. It'll start to break down and everything. And where you can find us is the Fig Hunter. Anywhere the Fig Hunter, there's basically just look the Fig Hunter, Google search. And I appreciate you letting us come on.
Dude, anytime.
Do some more stripping. Texas stripping. I'm sorry.
Yes. and make sure to add a fig tree to the garden as well.
Yeah.
I tell people even if you don't like figs, having a fig tree in your garden is beneficial.
You're gonna make friends.
Yeah, well, you're gonna make friends. You're also, it helps feed the wildlife. And then maybe something that would go for your tomatoes will go for the figs instead, because they can smell that sugar, I think, in the figs. And I think they prefer. Yeah,
figs are a confidence builder because
it's hard to kill
confidence. Yeah.
Yes,
I've tried.
Absolutely.
I've tried.
All right, Philly.
Oh man, me. So I actually think, and this might be a shameless push, but like one of a really fun thing I like to do in the wintertime is propagate fig trees. So if you stay on the lookout for fig cuttings, whether it's through the Fig Hunter, who has awesome varieties, and we got to catch up sometime so I could talk about the ones I got from you, and as well as me and down the road.
And you can buy both of their figs at figbid.com. You'll see Phil's figs and the Fig Hunter as well. So
it's a great community that ways too. But
that's where I got my Figaholic hat from.
Oh, you got one. Nice, dude.
I got one. I definitely bought one.
But yeah, and then I'll be listing cuttings, I think, in next month when that sap stops flowing so much and they can preserve their energy, those cuttings a little bit better. But yeah, thanks, guys.
Zach, what you got, dog?
I don't have anything for figs because I don't know anything. I'm learning here, okay? But
we're gonna get you on it, man.
We'll figure it out.
Oh my God, not this again.
Go.
No, we're gonna get you some figs, dude. We're gonna get you some fig trees.
Yeah, I'm in for that. No, I just I think we talked a little bit about it last time, but just put a garden in, buy a plant, get one plant and start with that. I just tell people, like, you're probably going to kill it. So what? Buy another one, get another one, plant some seeds, find a space and do it, because I just think it's so meaningful and powerful, and just to grow something and, you're watching it, you're taking care of it. Then you get to enjoy it, right? You get to enjoy the fruits of that labor that you've done. I think that's awesome. And so just tell people don't be afraid to try it out, and follow this and listen to us and ask questions and look up online. What should I do? That's what we're here to give tips and help out. So,
and they can find you where?
They can find me at Seed Farm Table.
Seed Farm Table. Boom. Yeah, and I always tell people, start out with one. If you're going to start a garden, don't plant like 100 tomato plants. Start out because
right. Yeah.
So if they get 100, they're going to get overwhelmed. They're going to quit when it gets hot. If they start out with one patio tomato, they're going to have really good success with those sweet 100s. They're going to have more tomatoes than they can eat. They're going to be giving away their friends, and then next year they're going to be like, oh, I want to grow 5 tomato plants,
Mm-hmm.
And then that's how I started. That's how I got started, And to touch back on the Veterans Day, when I first met Farmer Froberg, I met him. He was working at a farm, and they strictly only hired veterans. And it was a farm where veterans could specifically learn how to farm and then go out and start their own little urban farms and stuff like that. And I saw how much veterans can really benefit from gardening with PTSD, with the stresses and stuff of the stuff they see over there, stuff we see over because I was in the Air Force, so I didn't say I was a veteran earlier, but it was so nice, and so I highly recommend any vets out there that listen to definitely give gardening a try. I find it to be my therapy. When I've had a stressful day at work, I go outside and I spend about an hour in the garden every single day, pulling weeds. There's something to the process. I remember the first time I got out of the Air Force, and I had to pick out, what do I got to wear today? In the military, you wear the same, you know exactly what you're going to wear every single day. And there's some kind of tranquility to that steady routine, that structure.
That structure, you know where you're going to do, the next move.
Yeah, you don't have to think about what you wear. It's so
beneficial to the generations coming up. I mean, I totally concur.
All right, guys, I appreciate y'all watching. Like I said, shout out to all the veterans. Thank y'all for sticking around and watching the whole episode. You got a Fig Fun meter over there. Make sure to give all these guys a follow. I'm going to put all their details down below. And we'll see y'all next week on the next one.